Hello and welcome back to another episode of KSP POV, where we play Kerbal Space Program in first person. Today we are going to take a crewed mission to put up a satellite. We could have done it as a probe, but since we have no satellite communications network set up right now, we run the risk of losing control of the satellite that we're trying to place. And so we decided, let's just bring a crew, let's just bring a Kerbal. That way we don't have to worry about losing signal. We can just get it into the right orbit and then just let it go. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get that started. So here we are back at the KSC, and we still have one contract, and that's to do a crewed orbit, to get into a stable orbit with a Kerbal aboard. So that's also going to be our goal today. So complete that contract, and it's going to be a huge one. It's going to be a large step forward in our program, so that'll be good. So first, before I start that, I have a couple contracts to complete that'll just give us some extra money to work with as we start, because this satellite that we're going to be putting up is not contracted at all. This is just out of our own pocket. And of course, since we're playing career mode, you know, we got to do the things that we got to do in order to do the things that we want to do. So here I am in the probe control room. We're just launching this SRB. I probably could have limited the amount of fuel so it didn't have to take as long of a mission, but yeah, all we had to do was haul the those wheels that I put to the side of the probe core. Just needed to haul it into flight. I mean, we succeeded basically the moment we took off. But I'm just going to go ahead and tip this over towards the ocean, and we're going to pop his parachute above that. Yeah, so just a simple little mission. So just, you know, how's everybody doing? How have you been enjoying the series? I love seeing all your comments, and I love reading and replying to them, so that's good. I just, yeah, I'd like to hear some of your feedback. One question that I've been having that I would love to get your opinions on is, do you think that my building, the building sections of the rockets, do you think that goes too fast? Should I slow that down a little bit, you know, give more of a chance for people to see what pieces are going on and why, and I don't know, if that's something you're interested in seeing or having me do, let me know in the comments, and if that's not a thing that bothers you, or it doesn't matter, or if it's a good speed at all, you know, let me know that as well. But here we are, we're going to do another one of the perform a set of experiments around the KSC. And this one seems to be all about the target scanning. Well, we got 3 target scans to do. So yep. So we put our stuff on action groups, and we go ahead and rename this to the Rabbit 5. And then we launch from the runway. Go ahead and get our screen set up as we normally do. The vessel view on the right, the camera and speed information on the left, and then down here, camera and speed, as well as the flight log that tells us which biome we're in. Pretty standard. It's pretty usual that we do. Eventually, we are going to change the design of the Rabbit, and we're going to start using rover cores for it, so we don't have to rely on jet engines to drive around. You just use electricity. I also want to just take a moment to let you know that we've been doing some pretty good progress on the POV series, just as playthrough wise. I'm a little bit farther in my recordings. I've recorded a couple more missions after this, and they went pretty well. Pretty excited. I also have to been contending with some file corruptions with some of my videos. Some of them won't play, but I recently figured out how to save those files and still get information from them. So hopefully we won't have to deal with that too much. Alright, so I got my last bit of science, and so now I'm just trying to come to a stop. The electrical probe core will make stopping a lot easier, but when it comes to rocket engines, I just have to kill off all that momentum before I can recover the vessel. So yeah, we got a decent amount of science from that. I'm looking through here to see if there's anything worthwhile to unlock before doing my crewed orbit, but I didn't see anything that I could really afford. So I'm just going to look for any contracts that would be relevant for this mission that we're about to do. But anyways, let's get started. We're going to build our orbiter first, our crewed lander, or not lander, command pod. And this was, if you've been watching the Escaping Kerbin series, this was before I realized that my batteries were the issue with my satellites. So I didn't really pay attention to how much power this thing has. I just stacked some batteries on it. I have a feeling it's okay. I think it doesn't matter. I think it still ends up working anyways, because we're above Kerbin, so it's not as dramatic of a solar deficit, I guess. But we do go ahead and put on some explosives on there just to decommission if we ever need to. Get some life support in there to provide the Kerbal with everything they need before they return. And I go ahead and arm the parachutes, so those should be rated well enough to keep us safe on our return. I take these two cameras. I'm not too familiar with them, so I just did a test flight to see whether or not I liked them. I didn't really like them, so I go ahead and just put the camera on that we're used to. I did another simulation to test the action groups, and then I looked through the camera again, and I decided I didn't like it as much, so I just put it back to those two external cameras that come from the Alcor pod. So we're throwing some parachutes on some of these stages with the goal of saving some money as they come back. We also put on this tiny little basic satellite that came from Universal Storage 2, I believe it's called. Finalized, something like that. All the mods are listed in the Google Doc in the description below. If you haven't checked out that Google Doc, I recommend doing so. I have not only just the names of all the mods, but the versions that I'm currently using, as well as links to their homepage, so you can learn more and get the mods for yourself if you want. But again, mod at your own discretion and at your own risk. Always back up your saves, and neither myself nor the mod authors are responsible for any lost files. Just the little something to remember as you mod. Yep. So I got all my screens set up. Definitely enjoying the upgraded technology of the Mach 1 pod. Piloting that little tin can was fun. It was definitely interesting and different. But we get so much more out of this pod, and we can just feel a lot more in control, I feel. So we're just gonna take off. This is our first time doing a polar orbit. So I'm just gonna leave the footage unedited for the most part. Like I said before, once I start doing some routine missions where it's just like, oh, I'm doing this again, and we've done it so many times, then I'll start cutting through and just, getting straight to the point, getting straight to the mission, as opposed to focusing all the time on, you know, takeoff and breaking through the atmosphere and then circularizing and all that stuff. We'll get to a point where it's just like, yep, you know, here we are, we survived getting through the atmosphere. Now let's go to Duna, you know, let's go do these things, and we'll have more time to mess around there, instead of making a 40-minute episode like one of my most recent ones. So here I am losing control of the rocket a little bit. My time to apoapsis was not increasing, it was decreasing, so that meant that I was going to be coming back into the atmosphere if I didn't do something. So I'm quickly trying to raise my trajectory a little bit. And as you can see, my time to apoapsis is now increasing, which means that we're pushing it forward. If you ever see yourself trying to break through the atmosphere and you see your time to apoapsis decreasing, it means that you're not giving enough thrust, or you're pointing yourself too low, that you're not going to be able to bring up your periapsis by the time you actually start descending again. So yeah, that wasn't a great thing that just happened, you know, so I really had to fight against it, but I'm, you know, glad I handled it. Glad it worked out. So, yep, so now we're at 83 kilometers for our apoapsis. We're definitely going to be out in space. But normally we like to get our apoapsis anywhere between 100 and 120. So we're just going to keep rising. And the thing is, the important thing is that we get high enough in our altitude before we start tipping over. And typically it's around 40 kilometers. We need to be at about 40 kilometers before we start tipping over. So I'm just looking around at all the information that I have. My altitude is about to break space, and there we are, we're in space. I have a lot less to worry about now. Our engine is going to be more than enough to get ourselves into orbit, so looking pretty good. I'm just watching the time to our apoapsis raise, and then once it gets close enough, we're going to fire. And the time to apoapsis is that third number down on the left, the APT. Currently it's at 0221. That's what I'm looking at right now, as well as the nav wall to the left. Yep, so we're just gonna let that run out. We're not even plotting our maneuvers, we're just eyeballing it. Alright, so we're about 20 seconds to the apoapsis. Very close, so we're just gonna start firing now. And we get the warning that our lower stage is at low fuel. It will be out soon. But that's okay, we planned for it, and it's going to be on a suborbital trajectory, so that means that we won't be leaving any space trash. We're hopefully going to gain the funds back from recovering that piece of the vessel. So once again, I burnt a little bit, and I'm letting myself get to the top of the apoapsis. So I'm trying to keep my apoapsis from getting too high. As you can see, it's already 180 now. Alright, and there we go. We went ahead and brought it up, so now we're in space, and now we're just kind of evening out our periapsis, trying to make it match our apoapsis as best as possible. And we're not exactly at a 90-degree inclination. We're a little bit angled. So I went ahead and pointed normally, and now we're watching for our time to the ascending node, which is this number right here that I'm hovering my mouse over. We're getting close, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I don't think I wasn't sure if I was pointing in the right direction, but thankfully I am. And then as you see here under the INC, that's our inclination. We go ahead and bring it to 90. So now we are just going flat over the poles, very, very straight and vertical. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quick save. This is POV, so we are accepting our mistakes. So if we end up having an issue, we're not going to reload it. But I do like to save the quick saves just in case the computer crashes or whatever. We can just get right back into our mission. So I went ahead and detached the satellite, the top part, but I feel like I should have waited until I was in the sunlight. Immediately after doing it, I'm like, oh well, I detached it, but now I can't see anything. So one of our missions is to point communication dishes out away from Kerbin towards the other satellite. So for some reason, it's not completing. I was very nervous about that. But then I switched over to the satellite and realized that it just needed to be selected. And so now our mission is done. Now it's just a matter of bringing our Kerbal home. And I forgot to check or show before launching the rocket, but I believe our pilot today is Kerbal. Alright, so go ahead and bring my periapsis down to 38 kilometers, and that should be more than enough to bring us home. But I realized I'm landing, and that would make me land in the dark side, so I just flip around and bring my periapsis back into space. And then I'm just going to fast forward to the periapsis, which is on the dark side, burn again, and then that way I should be coming in on the light side of the planet. So at least I'll have something to see as I'm burning through the atmosphere. So once again, just firing until our periapsis is about 42 kilometers. It's 41.6, so that's close enough. Now just time warping until I get to the atmosphere. Go ahead and arm the descent stage, so or activate the descent action group. So now our parachutes are armed, our radiator is on. I don't think we had any communication dishes on this, but if we did, they would be stowed. And our solar panels are just flat static panels, so they don't do anything. So I jettisoned the engine, so now we are on our final stage. It's just the heat shield that's going to keep us safe, and then once the atmosphere stops setting us on fire, our parachutes should deploy, and we should come home safely. But as for now, I am kind of out of things to do. I can't really do anything. All I can do is just hope. We'll just make it safe. Thankfully, I have enough electric charge. I don't have any worry about our SAS working. So I have the ground proximity warning. I didn't quite hear it because I had my volume turned down. So I let that go for longer than necessary. But that's just a warning to let us know that we are on trajectory to land. And I'm spinning a little bit just to get a better view of the planet. I don't think we're going to need it to spin, stabilize, or dissipate the heat. So It's nice. Oh, look at that river. In the cameras, you can see a nice little river coming through. So here we are. We made it through the atmosphere, and we're just coming down pretty quickly. Our parachute deploys, and so very happy about that. We're still coming down pretty fast, and we're coming down sideways now because only one of our side chutes popped. But we're coming down at a negative 6 meters per second, so I'm confident that we are going to be safe. We are going to bring this mission to conclusion. We're going to bring this Kerbal home, and we are going to have a brand new satellite in polar orbit. We're probably going to need to do something like this again for the equatorial satellites, but for now, we're just going to revel in our victory. So let's bring them on home. And there we have it. That was a mission successful. Our Kerbal got some new tags. Those little ribbons that I keep looking at after every mission is from the Final Frontier mod. Highly recommend it, but it is outdated. But anyways, that's where I'm going to leave today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving me a like, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.